Tales by Tabletop is a story adapted from sessions of Dungeons & Dragons. It follows the saga of a trio of adventurers, Laeran, Rosjen, and Tim.
Welcome, dear listeners, to the 14th chapter of our story. Our heroes have been tasked by Anne Ticello to prevent any undesirables from entering Brewery Keep while the gala is happening. Laeran stopped by the Keep's alchemist to pick up a few potions and holy water. Anne waits, annoyed, for Laeran to return.
Apologies on my tardiness, madam. Tim, Rosjen, here you are. The apothecaries here are well-stocked indeed.
Laeran hands 2 of the holy water vials to each of his compatriots. Anne, without another word, takes off again, leading them down another hallway, past other servants busily moving back and forth on their duties. Another great pair of double wooden doors lead off to what seems to be another great hall. Anne turns to the right toward a smaller set of rooms at a brisk pace, forcing the heroes to dodge servants carrying trays, platters, and crates to keep up. Finally, the party arrives at the kitchen, itself a busy and packed hub of activity. The smells of cooking meats, vegetables, and untold delicious foods surround and envelop them.
Oh God, the mushroom and venison pies!
I was impressed by Aldo, but this...
Hey, focus. We're on a mission here.
Rosjen almost unconsciously reaches for a nearby stack of pies. Before she can touch them, Anne pulls out her sai and slaps it across her hand.
Sorry, I don't know what came over me.
Anne leads the party through the kitchen, past the ovens to the back of the room near the pantry. There, the 4 encounter a man who is in his mid-50s with graying, ginger hair, who would look handsome and charming if not for his belly poking out from underneath his once bright, but now faded and discolored leather jerkin. His unkempt beard and hair are both equally messy and overgrown. As they approach, they find him lounging back in a chair with his feet on a sack of potatoes, lazily plucking at what looks to be a guitar. A pot is sitting over a lone stovetop nearby, full of a bubbling liquid being stirred by a wooden spoon with no owner. He immediately locks eyes with Anne, but doesn't stop playing his guitar or changing positions. He holds the look for a moment, and then notices the rest of the party standing around her.
Ah, who are these fine folk here? I thought you'd done all your hiring for the gala. And again, you 3 don't look much like servants.
Linus, I told you yesterday. These are the adventurers who are going to make sure the entrance to the caverns is clear this evening.
I thought you already hired them days ago.
Anne clicks her fingers impatiently against the hilt of her sai.
No, you half-witted inebriate. You never listen. It doesn't matter. Give them a map, tell them where to go, and let them through the door. Then go back to whatever it is you were doing. You were supposed to be doing something, weren't you?
Anne turns to our 3 heroes.
I'm leaving you with him. Be safe, be careful, and so help me by the 9 planes. Be discreet. Now if you'll excuse me.
Without another word, she walks quickly away, covering her face. She then grabs hold of one of the scullery maids as she leaves and gives her an earful. Rosjen, Laeran, and Tim turn back to Linus, who is adjusting his pants.
That woman is crazy for me. Now about that map, I know I have one around here somewhere.
As they watch the old man dig through stacks of recipes and cookbooks, a slow realization appears on Tim's face as he recognizes the instrument Linus has been playing.
Oh, shit, man. Is that a bandor?
Indeed it is, my dude. Fock Lucan at that.
Tim takes his guitar off of his own back and begins to strum it a little while the pair talk.
Whoa. It's been years since I've seen one. Have you been to Silvery Moon?
Nah, I picked this one up in the Moonshae Isles a few years back. You're a bard too? That's awesome, man.
He begins to effortlessly flutter a tune over the strings.
You know Folatiers from there? It was after he invented that he moved to Silvery Moon to found the college.
Wow. Folataires from the Moonshae Islands? That's where I'm from. Supposedly, anyway. My dad was the famous one, though. Maybe you've heard of him. Bartimorous the Fool?
Oh, no yeah. So you're like Barty Jr.? That's pretty cool.
I prefer Tem, honestly.
The two laugh and begin to jam out on their instruments, Linus starting in with a simple melody, and Tim joining in with a harmony soon after.
God's teeth, at this rate we'll be here all day. Yes, I hate to break up the music festival, but we have a task to complete.
We do. I've got the soup covered, it's fine.
I don't think the soup knows that.
Linus looks over at the soup pot, which has begun to boil over. The wooden ladle, which had been stirring it, is now attacking one of the kitchen help, who is desperately defending himself using a pot lid as an improvised shield. The wooden ladle pauses for a moment, makes an odd gesture in the air, and a couple of seconds later is joined by a pair of wooden turning forks who join in the battle.
Oh, whoops. Must have lost my concentration. Let me fix that.
Linus strums out an eerie tune on his bandor, and the two turning forks fall lifelessly to the floor. The wooden ladle takes one last parting shot at the kitchen boy, then dejectedly hovers back over to the cooking pot, which it bangs on a couple of times. The liquid inside stops boiling over, and the ladle goes back to stirring it slowly. The kitchen boy gives Linus a dirty look and a rude gesture before returning to work.
Now where were we?
Miss Anne said that you had a map to give us.
Map? What? Oh yeah, that's right. Here we are.
Linus fumbles around on a nearby shelf for a moment and picks up a crumpled-looking piece of parchment covered in scrawl marks.
I should probably update it a bit for you. Hold on a second. There it is.
Linus pats himself down for a moment before reaching into his beard and pulling out a small, dull nub of a pencil. He begins to scrawl and scratch out places on the map.
Alrighty, here, what do we got? That's gone, that's flooded. That's new. That's where that thing is. Okay.
Linus proudly hands the work over to Rosjen, who looks at it with mild horror. Linus grins at her. What remains on the parchment is a crude, heavily marked drawing of a set of caves. Several sections have been marked out or badly redrawn, with cramped, barely legible handwriting describing details on it with large arrows pointed to various blobs, nearly indistinguishable from each other.
That may not be quite to scale now.
You don't say.
Now then, there was a door leading to these caves. Are there any unplumbed depths or holes in the walls where unspeakable terrors could break through at any moment to attack us here specifically?
Linus slings his bandor behind him and goes to stand next to Tem and Laeran, putting his hands over both their backs and hugging them spiritedly.
Sure there are, but you look like a well-worn group of seasoned adventurers, and you've got music royalty on your side here with you. Right, Tim?
Please don't include me in this.
Are we going to need torches?
That's your call. You've got this, guys. I mean, it's likely you won't find anything, and the pay is great. You're getting paid like 1,000 gold for this, right?
Not even close.
I think we may need to work on our negotiation skills for the future.
That's some good motivation for not getting eaten right there. That's the spirit.
Is this map drawn on the back of a recipe for meatloaf?
Oh, right. Make sure you get that back to me. I borrowed it from one of the cooks earlier. She'd have my manhood if I lost it.
And how do we get to the caves?
Oh, yes. The door's in the pantry here.
Linus walks over, opens the door to the pantry, and leads them through it. They reach another, this one made of much heavier wood, set with iron bolts and locked tightly. Linus fumbles around for a moment more and produces a large, plain brass key and unlocks the padlock. Ushering the others back with a few steps, he cautiously opens the door, which creaks and protests loudly from lack of use. Once the door is open, it's clear that it's nothing more than the entrance to a dark, damp hole of natural-looking rock, with an old, slippery metal ladder descending into the depths. The air rising out of it is cold and damp, and ruffles over the party's clothes, chilling them. Linus holds up his hand and listens for a few moments, and after a dramatic pause, pulls back into a bow, gesturing to the rickety ladder.
Here we are. Now remember, be careful with that first step. It's a doozy. Don't worry, if y'all die horrible deaths, I will write a ballad of your adventures so great it will live on for untold millennia. Truly you shall find yourselves immortal.
You're an interesting fellow, Linus. That's certain. But I'm not sure if it's a good or bad thing.
I don't believe I quite have either, Missy.
Linus laughs again, eliciting a more nervous one from Rosjen. Then Linus cocks his head to one side, looking at Laeran.
Odd. I didn't see it before, but you seem familiar. Have we met?
I do not see how that would be possible, unless perhaps in a past life. Oh, one last thing. Have you anything on hand I can cast light upon?
Linus looks around the pantry for a few moments, grabs a potato, and then hands it to Laeran. Laeran rolls the potato in his hands, whispering a prayer until it begins to glow with a bright light. He leans over the hole and drops it down, where it lands in a splash of water. They can see a small stream at the bottom that slowly carries the lit potato out of view.
Last one in is a rotten egg.
Laeran crouches and begins using the embedded ladder to climb down. The ladder is cold, slimy, and wet. Rosjen slides down, jumping from wall to wall, slowing her descent. After Tim is done changing out of his noble garments and into his adventuring gear, he climbs down as well.
You weren't lying about the rotten egg. It stinks down here.
Laeran illuminates his holy symbol again and shines his light around. The adventurers can see the small stream coming from the cavern wall make a 5 to 10 foot pathway that curves off to the left, refuse lining either side of it. The path forward is much wider and continues over a sharp incline to a larger cavern.
I say we go up and get a better vantage point.
You don't get very many chances to get a view from up high, do you, Roz?
Rosjen shoots Tim a dirty look, and they continue over the ridge. The small pathway leads down along the smooth rock wall. The cavern is much larger, far enough that they cannot see any other side as it disappears into the darkness. They are just barely able to see the floor from the top. In the distance, they can hear water falling.
Do you think we could sneak our way down here? I don't want to be surprised by any kobolds like last time.
I don't mind taking point as long as you two are close behind.
It would be nice to have the element of surprise for a change. All right then, everyone hold hands.
Everyone settles in. Even Laeran cinches his armor down tight to keep it from clanking. And then, Laeran's light winks out. As their eyes begin to adjust to the darkness, they begin to notice a change in some of the stones along the rock wall. Slowly, they begin to illuminate a soft blue, lighting the entire cavern. It's almost as large as the great hall above our heroes. The stones are spread throughout the ceiling, but a cluster is clearly made into a trail down the rock path to a waterfall filling a pool.
How marvelous!
That's why Linus laughed when I asked if we needed torches down here.
I've heard a story that involves stones like these. Two lovers from separate warring clans. To meet in secret, they use stones like these to light their way through a labyrinth, using some kind of secret tunnels. Think they ended up founding a city or something? I forget the details.
Why did he have to be so obtuse about it? Wow, look down there at how clear the water is.
We should take a look. These stones must be leading there for a reason.
As they reach the bottom of the path, they can clearly see a waterfall filling a pristine pool of water. The excess spilling over and creating a stream ending at the southern rock wall.
I don't understand. If this is all from that water above us, where's all the trash? If they're putting compost down here, years of it should be filling this place. Is there some kind of trash wizard I don't know about?
You joke, but there are monsters that live off debris and discarded refuse. We would not only eat trash for lunch, but also us. You thought the roper was bad.
Guys, shut up! There's something in the water. It's a huge rune. Draconic, I think.
That would make sense if this is the part of the Black Dragon's lair. This could all be something leftover. Be careful of it.
Well, now I'm curious. Hey, Laeran, watch my things. I'm going for a dip.
Wait a moment. Let me cast and determine if this is a magical trap. It could boil you once you jump in.
Laeran raises his holy symbol to his lips, says a prayer, and a soft gray light flashes from his eyes.
Ah. Well, it is magical. Some kind of combination of abjuration and transmutation. It might be the thing cleaning the water.
They could be using this as their drinking water.
Doubtful. Why would they come all the way down here when they could just get it from the well?
What is going on down here? I'm getting the suspicion that something or someone is toying with us.
The three turn to look at the top half of a human zombie crawling over a pile of rocks from a partial cave-in.
And then there's this.
Where did that come from?
Laeran walks over to the zombie, equips his shield on his left arm, and removes his mace from its holder.
Peace be with you. Ha-ha! Chums, the cavern keeps going. There's a larger room this way, and if I was a betting man, I think we've found our leak. Tem, come up here and take a peek inside.
Alright, hold on a second. Yeah, it looks half empty, and I don't see the other half of our new friend there. The room goes south, and another pool is along the right wall, but I can't see the whole way. It smells gamey down there. Stale.
That room isn't on the map.
Rosjen kneels down to investigate the half-zombie.
It looks like it was ripped in half. I don't see any stitching. I think these are teeth marks.
Let me take a look. No, it's too damaged to tell. Something bit it in half. That is cool.
So there are zombies and whatever's eating zombies down here trying to get into the gala?
How weren't we warned that there's a monster down here that could eat us? Did Linus draw the map from memory?
Sure. He drew the map. It's not even close to what it is. I've had to change it 3 times!
Just think how proud Lady Brevery would be of us for what we found. We might even get a smile from Anne. Maybe.
Doubtful.
I'm not competing for that one. I don't think I've ever seen her smile.
She smiles for James. Wait a minute. At Linus? I remember she was smiling when she was leaving after dropping us off with Linus.
They are probably having a go at us. This might be some kind of audition.
They're probably having a go at each other. I saw a ring on Anne's finger. She's married.
What if she's married to Linus?
I don't know if that's true. I think I'm more likely an affair.
What if the whole castle's in one big group marriage? That's who the Knights of Brevery are.
I do not judge the living, only the dead. Keep your minds forward. Do not like being lied to. Either we are down here to prove ourselves, or we are here to be eaten. Come on.
The trio venture further into the oblong room. Murky water extends about 10 feet from the wall to their right, and large fungi grow out of rotting detritus on their left, leaving them a 20-foot passageway of solid cavern floor.
Laeran, turn off your light. There might be more of those stones in here.
He nods and dims his light until it extinguishes completely. The room is pitch black. Only Tem can see the other two dart their eyes around quickly looking for lights. Tem suddenly sees movement in the water as several pale log shapes break the surface.
Light, Laeran! The water!
The light from Laeran's holy symbol flares, and in that moment they see a pale lizard-like tail flip in the water before it submerges into the murky depths.
Oh, scales! It is a lizard lion. Should we take care of it?
Well, it's not doing anything but harming zombies. Enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Hey?
Plus, it's probably someone's pet.
Nonsense. Sewer gators are only a myth, Tem.
They happen all the time in
Hey,
Waterdeep.
guys.
I have a friend of a cousin who saw one.
Rosjen slowly begins to string her short bow.
It could be a salamander.
Now who's saying nonsense things? Listen, what's not to say that someone dropped their pet down here and a few
Guys!
Rosjen fires a shot, landing in the chest of a shuffling undead.
Whoa! Why are you firing?
Zombie!
Oh, quite right. Another friend.
Should have just let him attack you both.
Laeran raises his crossbow with Rosjen, and they both bury 2 more bolts into the walking corpse. Despite taking heavy sustained damage, the zombie refuses to fall and continues to limp ever closer.
What? Why won't this thing go down? There we go. Take that, bitch.
Rosjen moves over to the body while Laeran covers her. Tem takes a few steps toward the end of the cave.
Let's see if this one has any interesting bite marks, too. Nothing.
There's another opening at the end of this room, over that pile of rocks.
I do not like that the passage is at the end of this muddy water. I know it sounds warlike, but I say we kill the beast.
Do we have to?
I think there's more than just one.
Well, is there a way for the water to connect from here to the other side?
Of the rocks? Not really. It looks as if they were connected once, but both sides are separate now.
Then we must keep our guard when crossing over. Hopefully, if it gets peckish, it will take that downed body before it decides to come after us.
Our heroes climb over the rubble to the next room. Standing on the rocks, they are just above another empty, crystal-clear pool. Laeran holds his holy symbol higher to let his light reach further.
I can see to the bottom through the water. Nothing floating or swimming around on this side.
I do not see any more friends coming to visit either. The cavern looks to be of a similar dimension as the previous.
Rosjen splashes into the pool and begins to swim across.
There's a slight current, but it's easy enough.
One by one, the heroes swim over to the adjacent side of the natural forming pool. Rosjen pulls Tim out of the water as Laeran moves slightly up the cave.
I suspect this is the water flow from the first room. Probably from a gap in the wall.
As he slowly makes his way forward, the light from his holy symbol illuminates a wall of a dozen zombies clustered at the far end of the cavern.
Tales by Tabletop is a series supported by a dedicated team. They make this project happen and infinitely more fun. Laeran is played by Jim Cook and voiced by Jay DeGraff. Rosjen is played by Misty Harper and voiced by Jazlyn Pintar. Tim is voiced and played by Phil Boelche. Your narrator is David Nellor. Guest voice acting provided by Gabrielle Galluzzo. Story coordinators are Mike Becker, Chris Hultin, and Zac McAuley. Sound effects provided by freesound.org, and music provided by tabletopaudio.com. The theme for Tales by Tabletop was created by David Vass. This show is edited and directed by Zac McAuley, Travis Nellor, and is produced by Michael Blackard.